Happiness, we all want it, we all search for it. Yet most of us wait for the world to make us happy. A better job, a better house, a better relationship. But tell me honestly, isn't it strange that we wait for life to change before we choose to smile? What if the real secret is not waiting, but pushing ourselves to be happy every single day? Happiness is a choice, not a result. Most of us believe that happiness is something that will happen after. After I get that promotion, after I buy that car, after I finally move into a bigger house, after someone loves me the way I want to be loved. We live in this constant waiting mode, postponing joy as if it's a prize we only deserve when life is perfect. But the truth is, if we keep waiting for life to be flawless, we'll wait forever, because life will always have imperfections, struggles, and unexpected turns. Think about it. When you were younger, you thought, once I grow up, I'll be happy. Then you grew up and thought, once I finish school, I'll be happy. After school, it became, once I get a job, I'll be happy. Then, once I get married, once I have kids, once I retire, it never ends. Happiness keeps moving further away, like the horizon. You walk towards it, and it moves further away. The problem is not that happiness doesn't exist. The problem is that we've placed it on the wrong side of conditions. Happiness was never meant to be the result of something happening. It was always meant to be the reason we live fully. Imagine this. Two people face the same situation. One loses his job and falls into despair, thinking life is over. The other loses his job and says, "This is my chance to grow, to try something new." The situation is identical, but their response is different. One chose unhappiness, the other chose happiness. Every morning when you wake up, life hands you a choice. It whispers, do you want to focus on problems or possibilities? Do you want to live in complaints or in gratitude? Do you want to wait for joy or do you want to create it? And the honest answer is, most of us let circumstances decide for us. If things go well, we're happy. If things go badly, we're miserable. But my friends, that's giving away the steering wheel of your life. Why should your peace depend on traffic, weather, economy, or someone's mood? Why should your smile belong to circumstances when it can belong to you? True power begins the day you realize, I can choose. Even if my boss is rude, I can choose patience. Even if my health is weak, I can choose gratitude for what still works. Even if someone betrays me, I can choose to forgive and free my heart. Happiness is not about denying pain. It's about deciding that pain will not control your life. It's not about faking a smile. It's about choosing to see that beyond the storm, there is always sunlight. So don't wait for happiness to come knocking at your door someday. Push yourself to be happy now, with what you have, where you are and who you are. Because the day you stop waiting and start choosing, that day you stop being a prisoner of circumstances and start becoming the master of your own joy. Gratitude is the shortcut. We live in a world where our minds are trained to notice what's missing rather than what's present. You may have 10 things working well in life, but the mind will obsess over the one thing that's not perfect. You may have food on your table, a roof over your head, and people who care for you. But if one person doesn't treat you the way you expected, suddenly all the blessings fade into the background. This is how the human mind tricks us into unhappiness. But gratitude, my friends, is the reset button. The moment you pause and count your blessings, life shifts. Think of a person who wakes up in the morning and the first thought is, why is my life so difficult? Instantly, the day feels heavy. Compare this with someone who wakes up and says, "Thank you, I'm alive. Thank you, I can breathe, I can walk, I can see." Both woke up in the same world, but one started the day with complaint, the other with gratitude. Which life do you think feels lighter? Gratitude does not mean ignoring problems. It means remembering that even in the middle of problems, you still have gifts. Imagine someone standing in the rain. They can say, "Why is it raining? My clothes are wet, I'm miserable." Or they can say, "Thank God for the rain, it gives us food, it keeps the earth alive." The rain didn't change. The person changed. Gratitude is not about changing the situation, it's about changing the lens through which you see the situation. The heart that complains will never find peace, because no matter what comes, it will always say, "It's not enough." But the heart that is grateful is rich instantly. You don't have to own the whole world to be happy. Sometimes one small moment of gratitude is enough. Think about the last time you lost something simple like your phone. For those few minutes, you felt panic, stress, anxiety. And then when you found it, you felt such deep relief. But the truth is, you already had that phone all along. You just forgot to appreciate it until you lost it. Isn't that strange? We only realize the value of something when it's gone. Gratitude teaches us to realize the value while we still have it. The happiest people are not those who have the best of everything. The happiest people are those who make the best of everything. They don't count possessions, they count blessings. They don't focus on what's broken, they focus on what still works. Gratitude is not just a thought, it is an attitude that transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary ones. A simple meal becomes a feast when eaten with gratitude. A small house becomes a palace when filled with gratitude. Even a difficult life becomes bearable when gratitude sits in the heart. So if you truly want happiness, don't chase it in achievements. Don't chase it in material things. Start with gratitude. Before you sleep, close your eyes and count 3 things you are thankful for today. It might be small, like a smile from a stranger, or big like the love of your family. Do this daily, and you'll see a miracle. Your heart will slowly train itself to focus on abundance, not lack. And once you see abundance, happiness will stop being something you're chasing. It will become something you're living. Smile as a discipline. Most people think smiling should only come when something funny happens, when life gives us a reason, when someone treats us well, or when success knocks on our door. But if you wait for the world to make you smile, you may spend most of your life with a straight face. A smile, my friends, is not just a reflection of happiness. It is also a creator of happiness. It is not just a result, it is a discipline. Science has proven something very interesting. When you smile, even if it's forced, your brain releases chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, that make you feel better. It's almost like your body tricks your mind into happiness. That means sometimes the act comes before the feeling. Just like going to the gym. You may not feel like working out, but once you start moving your body, energy follows. Similarly, you may not feel like smiling, but once you lift those lips upward, joy begins to follow. Think about children. They smile hundreds of times a day for the simplest things. A butterfly, a balloon, a silly joke, sometimes for no reason at all. That's why they radiate so much light. But as we grow older, life teaches us to frown more, complain more, carry the weight of stress, and smile less. We tell ourselves, "I'll smile when things get better." But things don't automatically get better. We must bring the smile back, not as an occasional reaction, but as a daily practice. There's a story about a man who lived a very tough life, full of struggles. Yet, people around him always said, he has such a peaceful face, always smiling. One day, someone asked him, how do you manage to smile even with so many problems? And he replied, because problems will always exist. If I stop smiling, I will lose twice. Once because of the problem, and again because I let it steal my joy. That is wisdom. Smiling doesn't remove difficulties, but it makes us strong enough to go through them. A smile also has a mysterious power. It's contagious. When you smile at someone, most of the time they smile back. One simple smile can lift someone's mood, make them feel seen, give them hope, or remind them that kindness still exists in the world. You never know how much difference one smile can make. Sometimes people are fighting silent battles, and your smile might be the light they needed in that moment. Now, does that mean you should fake a smile all day and suppress your real emotions? Not at all. It means you should learn to practice smiling as a choice, as an anchor. Even on a hard day, you can still choose to find one thing to smile about. Even in stress, you can still choose to give someone else warmth through your smile. It's not about pretending that life is perfect. It's about choosing not to let imperfections steal the beauty of your expression. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, don't wait for a reason. Look in the mirror and smile. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're alive, because you have another chance, because your smile is not a reward, it's a discipline. If you make this simple habit part of your daily routine, you will not just look happier, you will start feeling happier, and slowly, life itself will begin to smile back at you. Don't compare, appreciate. One of the fastest ways to kill happiness is to look at what others have and measure your life against it. The mind is restless, always scanning, always calculating. He has a better car. She has a nicer house. They travel more. Their relationship looks happier. Their children are smarter. Their life is easier. And the more you compare, the more you feel less. Comparison is like a thief that sneaks into your heart and robs you of joy silently. You may have enough to live peacefully, but the moment you compare, what you have suddenly feels small. Think of this. You buy a phone, you're excited, you love it, you're proud of it. But the moment your friend walks in with the latest model, suddenly your joy disappears. Did your phone stop working? Did it lose its value? No. It's the same phone, but your happiness shrank because you measured it against someone else's. This is the trap of comparison. It blinds you from enjoying what you already have. There's a saying, when you compare, you despair, and it's true. No matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone with more. If you earn a certain income, someone else will always earn double. If you live in a nice house, someone else will always live in a mansion. If you are talented, someone else will always be more skilled. The race of comparison has no finish line. Even the richest, the most successful, the most admired people in the world sometimes feel insecure when they compare themselves with others. That means comparison doesn't end with success, it continues forever. But appreciation, that is the antidote. Instead of looking at what others have and feeling less, look at what you have and feel blessed. Gratitude shifts the focus from scarcity to abundance. And even when you look at others, instead of comparing, learn to appreciate. If someone has a talent, appreciate it. If someone is successful, admire them without jealousy. If someone is ahead of you, let it inspire you, not poison you. Because appreciation multiplies happiness, but comparison divides it. Imagine two people watching the same sunset. One says, it's beautiful. The other says, it's not as nice as the one I saw on vacation. Same sunset, different hearts. The first chose appreciation. The second chose comparison. Which one do you think will live a happier life? It's not the size of what you have that decides your happiness. It's the size of your appreciation. There's a simple exercise to practice this. Whenever you catch yourself comparing, pause and ask, instead of focusing on what they have, can I focus on what I have? Instead of feeling jealous, can I feel inspired? Instead of complaining, can I say thank you? Slowly, your mind will rewire itself. You'll begin to notice beauty where you once saw lack. You'll begin to admire others without losing your peace. Because here's the truth, no two lives are the same. We all have different journeys, different struggles, different blessings. A fish is not meant to compare itself to a bird. A tree is not meant to compare itself to a flower. Each has its own role, its own beauty, its own worth. The moment you stop comparing, you give yourself the permission to simply be. And when you simply be, happiness naturally flows. So stop scrolling through life with a measuring tape in your hand. Put it down, look around, look within. Appreciate the little victories, the small blessings, the ordinary moments. Because when you stop comparing and start appreciating, life stops being a competition and starts becoming a celebration. Serve others. One of the deepest truths about happiness is this: the more you live only for yourself, the emptier life feels. You can buy things, you can collect achievements, you can chase pleasures, but after a while, the excitement fades. Have you noticed? The new phone becomes old, the promotion becomes normal, the praise becomes expected. But there is something about serving others, helping, giving, sharing, that fills the heart in a way nothing else can. Because when you make someone else's life lighter, your own heart becomes lighter. Think about the last time you helped someone, even in a small way. Maybe you gave directions to a stranger. Maybe you shared your food. Maybe you listened to a friend who was going through pain. In that moment, didn't you feel a quiet joy inside you? That joy is unique. It's not the rush of achievement or the thrill of buying something new. It's a deep satisfaction, a warmth, a sense that you've done something meaningful. That is the happiness that service brings. There's a beautiful paradox here. When you give away happiness, you don't lose it, you multiply it. A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. In fact, the room becomes brighter for everyone. In the same way, when you serve, when you give, when you help, you don't become poorer, you become richer. The joy you create for others echoes back into your own heart. But service doesn't always mean doing something grand. Sometimes we imagine that serving others means building schools, hospitals, or donating millions. Those things are wonderful, but service also hides in small, everyday gestures. Smiling at a tired cashier, holding the door open for someone, checking in on a lonely neighbor, encouraging a child, listening without interrupting. These are acts of service too. And they matter. Because for the person receiving it, that small act could mean the world. Some people say, but I have so many problems myself. How can I serve others? The truth is, you don't have to wait until your life is perfect. In fact, serving others even when you are struggling can heal you faster than self-pity ever will. When you shift your attention from my pain, my problem, to how can I ease someone else's pain, suddenly your own burden feels lighter. Helping others doesn't erase your struggles, but it gives you strength to bear them. History is full of examples of people who found happiness not in what they took, but in what they gave. The greatest teachers, Leaders, saints, and guides were not the richest or the most powerful. They were the ones who served humanity. And even in our own lives, we remember people not for what they owned, but for how they made us feel. Nobody says, "I'll never forget his expensive watch." We say, "I'll never forget how kind he was to me when I was down." That's the legacy of service. It outlives everything else. So, if you want happiness that lasts, don't only ask, "What can I get today?" Ask, "What can I give today?" Don't only wake up with the thought, "How can the world make me happy?" Wake up with the thought, "Whose life can I touch today?" Because when you live for yourself, happiness is small and temporary. But when you live for others, happiness becomes abundant and enduring. Serve not because others deserve it. Serve because serving makes you deserve happiness. Control the controllables. One of the biggest sources of unhappiness is the habit of trying to control everything. We want life to move according to our script. The weather should be pleasant. People should behave the way we expect. Opportunities should come on time. Results should match our effort. But reality doesn't work like that. Life is full of things outside our control. Traffic, economy, politics, weather, other people's moods, other people's decisions. And yet, most of our energy is spent fighting battles we can never win. Think of how much time we waste being angry at rain, being frustrated at traffic, being upset because someone didn't say what we wanted to hear. Can we change the rain? Can we clear the traffic with our frustration? Can we rewire someone else's personality overnight? No. Yet we allow these things to ruin our peace. That's like trying to stop waves in the ocean with your hands. You will exhaust yourself and still end up wet. The secret is learning to separate life into two zones, what you can control and what you cannot. Once you see the difference, happiness becomes much easier. For example, you can't control if someone speaks rudely to you. But you can control whether you respond with anger or with calm. You can't control whether the market goes up or down. But you can control how wisely you spend and save. You can't control if tomorrow brings challenges. But you can control how prepared, how resilient, how positive you are when challenges come. A wise person once said, "You cannot stop the wind, but you can adjust your sails." That is the art of life. Instead of wasting time trying to stop the wind,